Who can forget the sounds of the 60s?
The 1860s. I can't, and you can't either. Now, there's Marching Through Georgia, the exciting new album by Billy Webster. All of your favorite hits of the 1860s in one place. Such hits as Garryowen, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, All Quiet Along the Potomac Tonight, Marching Through Georgia, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Go to billysongs.com and order your digital download of Billy Webster's Marching Through Georgia today. That's billysongs.com.
This episode of Addressing Gettysburg is brought to you in part by me, audiobook narrator Mike Scott. Narrator of Savis Beattie's Bloody Autumn, the Shenandoah Valley Campaign of 1864, and Unlike Anything That Ever Floated, the Monitor and Virginia and the Battle of Hampton Roads. If you are an author or publisher interested in having your titles produced as audiobooks, or even just in learning more about the process, give me a shout. You can find my contact info on my website, MikeScottVoice.com. That's MikeScottVoice.com.
Enjoy historical stories on the History Fix platform. Explore movies, short films, and documentaries. Addressing Gettysburg podcast fans receive an extra $5 off the first year's annual subscription. Sign up at HistoryFix.com and use promo code Gettysburg. Every subscription includes a 7-day risk-free trial. Escape into history with History Fix.
Are you ready for your next great Civil War read? Then try the new historical novel, The Heavens Falling, by Jonathan Lucci. Follow the members of the Dawson family through the Civil War, from the halls of Congress to the bloody fields of battle, and from the decks of gunboats to the solitude of Lincoln's office. The Heavens Falling is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle, or visit theheavensfalling.com to order. That's theheavensfalling.com.
Want the freshest cup of coffee in Gettysburg? Then visit Bantam Roasters, formerly 82 Cafe at 82 Steinware Avenue. They roast all of their coffee in-house, and they have a full coffee bar to keep you caffeinated during your trip. Visit them at www.raggededgerc.com for their menu and shipping options for all of their freshly roasted coffee. Use promo code Hancock for 10% off your order in the cafe.
And Civil War Trails. It's the world's largest open-air museum, and they offer over 1,300 sites across 6 states. Drive the Gettysburg Campaign turn by turn, paddle to Frederick Douglass's birthplace, or hike to remote earthworks and artillery positions. Visit civilwartrails.org to request a brochure and explore their interactive map. Follow Civil War Trails and create some history of your own.
From the Gettysburg Museum of History Studios, you're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Addressing Gettysburg. A while ago, sometime, I don't know, in the fall or maybe early winter, I can't remember when it was, but we put out an episode called Things That Make You Go, in the Gettysburg Campaign with Jasan Hileman, and it was a popular episode. People really liked it. Good feedback on it, and of course, there's more than just a few things that make you go in the Gettysburg Campaign. And so Jasan said, "Hey, let's do a part 2." And I said, "All right, we'll do a part 2." So Jason's back. Hello, Jasan. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
And as we did last time, we had our buddy from Peach Orchard Publishing, Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
We haven't really had you on a lot though this winter. You've been kind of laying low.
Yeah, it's my first time in pants in months.
Good for you. Good for you.
No, thank you.
Get out in public.
Yeah. What? Thank you for dragging you out of the house and making you put pants on. Okay, good. Good for you. Well, that's nice. That's Joe with his pants on. All right, so we're doing another. Now, Jasan, did you hear from people after you did that about and did you get any good feedback? Because I got a lot of good feedback from
I got good feedback as well. Yeah, and it came from different directions that I would never have expected to say, hey, I caught this episode on Addressing Gettysburg. That was really cool.
One of them was Bill Clinton, I thought, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
I just want to let you know, I like that episode. Things might go, can you do another one, is what he said.
Part 2.
But part 2. Maybe throw throw some positives in there. It's like, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to throw some positives. It's not all negative ones here.
Not all negative.
All right, so let's do, and for just to kind of give you a little peek behind the scenes. We got about, 20 minutes into a show, a version of this, and then I looked at the board and realized I didn't hit the record button. So this is part 2, take 2. All because I'm an idiot, and so here we go. We're going to do the first 3 all over again. Let's see if we can remember the off-the-cuff jokes we came up with and deliver them. Maybe we could deliver them better than we did the first time. So here we go. Jason, give us your first things that make you go,
Well, we're gonna start early in the campaign. We're gonna make the transition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from where they came from. So down in Virginia, Chancellorsville, to toward the Pennsylvania border, and Major General Joe Hooker's resignation. And so the biggest thing that makes me go, is not so much the resignation, because we'll talk about why, but that it's accepted.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you think about the military situation. Lee's army's completely in Pennsylvania, save maybe some cavalry that hasn't crossed the river yet. But we covered that on part 1.
Yes.
Right? But think about the strategic military situation at the time that the War Department and Abraham Lincoln blesses accepting this resignation, placing someone else in command of the Army of the Potomac in this situation. That's pretty. That's pretty daunting.
It is.
Yeah, and we talked about. Are they trying to get him to quit?
Yeah.
And
which is what I always thought. I mean, the way he asked for things, and either Halleck or Lincoln say no, flat out no compromise. Well, maybe there were a couple, but for the most part, it seems like they're just saying no to everything he asked for.
Right.
And then he resigns, and they say yes
to everything, George. They're the same thing.
No, but then they say yes to the resignation. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah.
And then George Meade is placed in command, and they're like, they don't even wait for him to ask. They say, you could do whatever the hell you want to do, and please do it, because this is an emergency.
All right.
So to me, that says they didn't trust Hooker. Hooker had, not proven himself to be worthy of the job. Yet, politically, Lincoln can't fire him, because he's just been firing too many, and and there's an election coming up next year, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah,
is that how you see it?
That's exactly how I see it. Everything.
I guess that's how everybody sees it. That's the story.
That's predominant.
I'm not big on the pre-battle stuff, so I don't know if I'm right on things.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of landscape, by all appearances, from the communications, and he wants more troops. He wants Harper's Ferry, the garrison. They're under his control. They deny that, and then turn around and tell George Meade that, if you need the troops in Harper's Ferry, you could have them.
Yeah.
He just got done telling Joe you can't have them.
I know.
And can we get you some more troops out of Washington? You look at some of these, the brigades that are here at Gettysburg, and, they're added to the Army of the Potomac on the way up,
absorbed into the Army.
Absorbed, yeah. Yes. Added in to bolster their numbers. But, it just has all the appearances that you're just making it as tough on this guy as you can. Yeah. And Hooker even says that in his resignation letter. If something about, I don't hold the trust of the government, and therefore I respectfully request, removal from command.
And they're like, okay,
hey,
no problem, Joe.
Okay, well, if that's
don't
how
let
you
the
feel,
door hit you in the ass on the way out.
I hate to hear that, that you don't want to keep the job, but come on back. Report back into D.C. We'll get you
right. They give him another job.
Yeah, we'll get you another job. Yeah.
So removed from here, but he's sent somewhere else and does rather well.
He does. He's not like.
And isn't he a pallbearer at Lincoln's funeral at one point?
Don't know that.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have that in my head that he is.
I can't imagine.
Google it, Joey. Google it.
I'm on it.
Google it. Okay.
So while I'm Googling,
Yeah.
what Lincoln is doing is he is absolving himself of firing another, commander of the Army of the Potomac.
Right.
And I'm sure he hasn't liked Hooker since Chancellorsville when, I've heard before that he was like a duck who was hit on the head at Chancellorsville. So he's looking for ways to get rid of him, but he can't fire him.
Right.
I'm sure he wants to get rid of Hooker. I'm sure he wants to get rid of Sickles. He wants to get rid of Butterfield. Not only are they poor commanders, but they're kind of shady. Their moral backbone may be lacking a bit. So
New Yorkers, right?
What are those New Yorkers?
They're the party clique.
Yes,
They are the party clique.
Yes, sir. I grew up outside of New York. I know what they're like.
Yeah.
You need to be careful with those people.
Yeah,
Be
but
careful.
still, I just can't get over, no matter, what the confidence level is, to wait until that's the situation and you pull the trigger on that. That's
let's think this through.
That's where I can't get past
maybe it's like, okay, who do we want instead of Hooker? Oh, we want Mead. Okay, well, what if Mead doesn't want it? I don't think he wants it. It's like, well, we're going to order him to want it.
Yeah,
he's going to have to do it. There's no choice, and it's an emergency. And we're going to sweeten the pot, we're going to give him powers that we didn't give Hooker. We haven't given anybody else maybe so far. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he can promote or fire anybody he wants to. He can execute people for not doing their jobs. He can do anything he wants. And he can have the Harper's Ferry garrison if he wants, or part of it, or whatever. And we're just going to make it easy for this guy. So and so maybe that was that was the idea there.
Yeah.
It just, to me, it just sounds like they had no faith in Hooker at all.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn, and we brought this up in take one, I could have sworn that I've read that when didn't Mead write to his wife saying that he was, I don't know what his reaction was, if he was disappointed or surprised or confused or whatever, that Hooker didn't really have much information as to what was going on. Like, he knew where his own corps were,
right,
but he didn't know too much about the enemy.
No.
And what, do you know why? Because, I mean, it's not like he didn't have the BMI. The BMI seemed to be pretty useful to Meade. So what, or am I not remembering this correctly?
Well, he does, Hooker does have intelligence from different sources like Harrisburg, the telegraph of the threat to the Capitol, and
I mean,
they know that Lee has crossed the Potomac at Williamsport and the avenue that they've taken. They could draw a 100-mile ring around where Lee is,
right? Okay,
but it's
I wonder what it is I'm thinking of. I'm going to have to listen to the second narrative episode of Addressing Gettysburg because I put it in there and I just can't remember exactly what it is. And maybe I was misinformed. Did you find it, Joe?
Wait,
you did? You found it?
Well, I found the list of pallbearers, and there is.
All right, wait, hold on a second. This is Joe has Googled this, and what are we going to find out here? Lincoln pallbearers. Go ahead.
That song makes me tingle.
Jeez.
I don't see one military person on there. It seems like it is judges, law partners. There is a meatpacker, all from beautiful Sangamon County, Illinois.
Why don't you Google the question, was Joseph Hooker a pallbearer at Lincoln's funeral? Ready, go. All
right.
He's Googling. And what's the answer?
I have Googled Hooker pallbearer, and I suggest you don't.
It's not pallbearer. Did you spell it correctly?
Hold on. We're working on it.
Wow.
All right. But wasn't there... There may be another tie because this is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Someone's in charge of the military train, the arrangements for the transportation and that whole
Hermann Haupt,
the cities, the stops.
Right. Oh, you're talking about for the funeral procession.
Yeah, for the funeral train, there's somebody who's in charge of the military procession and all the arrangements, and he wouldn't have to be a pallbearer.
No, but I swear he was. Like, not the whole time. At one particular stop, of course. I want to say it was New York. But
I'm not doubting you.
Did you type in the question I said there, Joe?
I did.
Was General Joseph Hooker a pallbearer at Lincoln's funeral? What's the answer?
No.
All right.
No.
That was Googling with Joe.
He was not. Okay.
It's funnier when you're on the show. Wait.
No, at some point there was a procession
Uh-huh.
led by Major General Joseph Hooker
Okay.
as it began to move through Springfield.
All right. That's what so I'm confused.
You got it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's some tie to the arrangements, the military end of that funeral. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So then Jason got it correct.
He's tied in.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So
they don't hate each other.
I was half right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the point is
that they didn't hate each other.
They don't have like this deep animosity.
No.
Yeah.
I almost, and when you look at Lincoln's letter to Hooker when he gives him command, he's almost talking to him like a father would to a son. Right?
Yeah.
Like that idiot rogue son that everybody has, which would be me and my family.
Yeah.
And even as an adult, you need to kind of talk to him like they're a teenager. You know, it's like, now, Matt, let me remind you, you're an idiot. And
I've heard it said that you've made the statement that successful generals can make themselves dictators. Well, I look forward to the prior and will chance the latter.
Right.
Something like that. Like, go ahead, bring me all the military success. We'll see about the dictatorship. But he's letting him know, I've heard, what you're saying.
And even
so go ahead and deliver, brother.
Even earlier in the campaign when he writes, I think it's when he writes to Hooker after Winchester, and he's kind of like, so-and-so's in Martinsburg and such happened here. I'd like to hear from you. Am I right? Is that to Hooker or was that to...
no, I think it is.
That was to Hooker.
I think it is to Hooker because he makes the snake analogy that if the head is beyond Martinsburg and the tail is yet outside Fredericksburg...
Right.
Shouldn't you be able to cut it in tween?
Right.
Like that's a long way, brother.
Yes.
What are you doing about it?
Right.
Yeah, he
I'd
makes
like
the
to
point
hear
of
from
the
you.
information, like we know this and we know this. That's a long drawn out snake. Yeah.
Okay.
What are you gonna do about that?
What you gonna do?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's next then? We got Hooker there.
So we got Hooker, and this is a segue into the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to go to the positive.
Oh.
So we've got the negative.
Okay.
So we've been doing that. But if you just change the tone just a little wee bit,
Okay.
you turn it positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that head nod. Right, with that head.
Pleasantly surprised.
A little cock of the head and a little nod with it. There we go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's going to make us
So the other side of this story, George Meade takes command.
Okay.
And we're not talking about, a couple days of delay. We're not talking about like a distinct, you got to give the new commander an opportunity to get, acclimated.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. It's just seamless.
Right.
Like when you read like books, The Roads to Gettysburg, and you look at the movements of cavalry and infantry, and I would, if you didn't know there was a change in command, I would challenge you that you would be able to detect it. Mm-hmm. Nobody changes leadership other than George Meade. He keeps Hooker's staff in place, chief of staff, all those positions. Doesn't upset the apple cart. Gets briefed with Hooker for a little bit, like, what's your thinking? What's the general movements? Where's the other corps? Picks it up and immediately just keeps it going. Certainly, we focus, the books, the historians, the scholarship focuses on Meade's attraction to picking the ground.
Yeah.
and putting his engineers to work, studying maps between where the Union Army is and where they know the General Lee's location, over in that Cumberland Valley, and what's all the geography between us and them, creeks, bridges, all the type of thing. Where do the railroads go? He's thinking in terms of if we get set up for a battle, where can I move our supply? Avenues on railheads, different things like that. But he's planning and he's doing contingencies, and this is what bears out the Pipe Creek Circular, which to me is a communication of, as we get clearer or closer to the enemy, if this should happen, this is what I'm thinking. I want you to fall back, and this is the order, and I'd like to even arrange, this is the logical arrangement of the Corps along this line. I don't see that as to what it turns out to be, so highly criticized, and we'll get into that whole Sickles thing. But this is just a commander linking in his Corps commanders to what I'm thinking. And I'm not going to keep it to myself, but as we move, the results will probably be better if you're already reading my mind. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that if this happens, let's react this way, and this will be good. And the fact that he takes command like 4 a.m. June 28, 7 a.m. July 1st, first shot, and this plays out.
I think I have a couple of thoughts on that.
Go.
So number one, maybe we have to give Hooker a little bit of credit for establishing that continuity of command.
Sure.
Like, we don't have any other example in the Civil War where the Army's head was cut off. Maybe, Shiloh, but when Johnson got killed on the 6th, where the commander of the Army died right before the campaign or during the campaign. I think the Army of the Potomac was shielded towards this due to the revolving door of commanders that they had. I think the Army of the Potomac had learned how to go through these changes. I also think Butterfield, I'm not a huge fan of Dan Butterfield, but I think he probably had a lot to do it when Hooker bailed on the first or second day after he got relieved. So I think that had a lot to do with it. And number two, how much did the Corps commanders really rally behind Meade? I mean, either Reynolds didn't get the Pipe Creek or Reynolds ignored the Pipe Creek Circular. So,
but I don't think if he ignored the Pipe Creek Circular, I don't think it was out of malice, because after Meade takes command, Reynolds says to him, "Yo, I got your back."
Yeah.
So then he didn't get it. Is that your contention? Then he didn't.
I think he didn't get it. I think he didn't get it. Yeah, that's my contention, as you say.
There's conspiracy theories on that Meade, or not Meade, Reynolds had made some statements like, if George Meade dawdles here, Lee will strip Pennsylvania clean. Mm-hmm. Like that's Reynolds' state, as it is George Meade.
It's Meade's too. Yeah.
Yeah, but Reynolds worked for the governor. He got pulled out of the Army of the Potomac during the Maryland campaign to be the commander of the protecting forces of Pennsylvania for that threat.
Right.
He's worked for this guy.
Yeah.
You can be from the state, but, Reynolds has an affinity with Pennsylvania. And so, I've read a little bit where, did Reynolds bring the fight on because he wanted to force the hand? Like, you just can't keep letting Lee run around Pennsylvania stripping the farmlands. I get a chance to pitch into this guy.
Could be.
Yeah, fight's on.
Sure.
Okay, kind of a thing. And so I've seen that as a scholarly argument to why Reynolds, chooses to engage the way he does and kind of, is dictating the battlefield.
But didn't Reynolds initially say that he was going up to Gettysburg to support Buford, who was going to push out further? Isn't that what? Didn't he say that to some? I want to say it was Doubleday, but I'm not sure. Or no, it might have been Wainwright. Sees along the way as he's heading into I don't remember who it was. But I know I read that in one of the books that everybody says is reliable.
Cite your sources, Matt.
I want to say it was Fonts or maybe maybe Trudeau. I don't remember.
Playing the Fonts card. All right.
And then,
Or it could have been Coddington.
And then,
okay.
And I also think Mead may have had a little bit of leeway there. If he is, if he fails, he's following whatever Hooker put in place.
Yeah.
If he succeeds, he can take credit for it. And I'm not saying that's what he did, but and that's certainly a minimal part of his decision making. But it had to be there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget too. Reynolds didn't make that decision to move up in support of John Buford and his findings of intelligence at Gettysburg. Meade supported that.
Yeah, well, sure.
Meade supported that order and said, yes, move forward.
He ordered Reynolds to Gettysburg.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like mines, they both saw it the same way.
Right.
And he's moving the other corps in accordance with that stepping stone move.
Right.
Like, okay, let's develop the situation a little more. You move up in support of the cavalry. And let's develop it. But he's not leaving everybody else sitting back. He's ordering another step forward for the 11th Corps in support of that.
Yeah, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I got that from Howard. Was it Howard who said that Reynolds said that we're moving to Gettysburg to support Buford, who's pushing it? I don't know, but wherever I read it, the person talking about it, it was like secondhand. Like it was, I heard Reynolds say this, or someone told me. I can't remember exactly, but someone in the audience knows exactly what I'm talking about, and they'll send me an email at matt@addressinggettysburg.com.
Yeah, might have been a Moritz Tavern discussion because
it could have been.
We know Howard and Reynolds met there.
That's what I'm thinking. It's
evening.
like pre-March. Not the month, but going on the March.
June 30th discussion.
No, July 1st, like morning of July 1st.
Oh, morning of July 1st.
Like early morning as they're getting ready to go.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was, I don't know. Clearly, I'm thinking of, it's a ghost of a memory here, so I don't know.
So at what point then did Meade go all in? At what point did he switch from we're going to pull back, I'm going to assess my situation, to there's something happening at Gettysburg, I'm in,
As I take visitors around. My decision point on that is Hancock.
Okay. He sends Hancock up.
Is once he hears back from Hancock that the situation has developed and we have good ground, that's where I always is the full commitment. Is he's now going to issue orders to the remainder of the Army of the Potomac to proceed to Gettysburg with all haste. He's going to issue those orders and then get in the saddle himself and get here. And not getting here until just after midnight.
And they're going to let it all hang out.
Joe, I think there's still that thought of fall back. Yeah, no, come back this way, and let's get ourselves in a good position. I think if he would have heard that, oh no, we don't have a ridge, we don't have a good position. That's all right. Everybody back this way. Come on back toward DC. If we can lure him back toward us. There's military terminology for that, and I can't remember what it is. It's the Kent Masterson Brown speaks to this in his most recent book,
where you
Meade
describe
Study in Command.
Describe it again. I'm sorry.
Where you put a force forward, you engage the enemy, and then you
withdraw so they chase you
and drag them back to the engagement point you truly want.
Right,
But
strategic redeployment?
I forget. But the argumentation to that is, yes, that is taught at West Point and military tactics, but not over that length of miles.
Yeah, right. That's,
you know what I mean?
It's too far.
The critics of that thought that Kent Masterson Brown is writing about in the book is in a distance that's more like achievable, that you could lure them over that space.
I can't imagine they would
8 miles.
Right. I can't imagine they would follow that far.
Like, you're luring me in.
I mean, to go down to Pipe Creek from here by car is, it's not long. It's not like an hour, but it's still, it's not a quick little drive. It's going to take you, 20 minutes, half hour, something like that?
Yeah. And, what is that? That's
20 minutes or a half hour.
half a day march.
Right. So, and you're going to do that fighting the whole time, and your
You're not
enemy's
gonna
going
be
to
conscientious
and
about
your
that?
enemy is going to be stupid enough to follow you.
Come on, keep coming. Come on,
Come on.
keep coming. Yeah, keep coming.
All right. So what else?
Okay.
What else you got?
So Mead, that's a positive. The way he takes command, he keeps everybody in place, even though, and we're going to get to this, even though he has been given that latitude of you can place whomever you want in command at your discretion.
Right.
In other words, you don't have to follow this strict chain of command. What's the word?
Thing.
Who has more time and
Seniority?
Seniority. You don't have to follow the strict seniority.
Right.
My commission predates yours by 2 days. That's my job.
F that noise, he's saying.
No.
F that noise.
No, you pick them based on
Right.
Your belief of their skill set.
Right.
So
And that's why you get Custer and what's his face and what's
Custer,
his face
Farnsworth,
and Merritt,
Merritt
jumping from captain to general.
When he gets that message of you may promote who you believe is the best, the boy generals, boom, 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 the three,
Yeah.
Custer, Farnsworth, and Merritt, bang,
Yep.
brigadier generals.
It's almost like he knew.
It's like,
he wanted
you
to
know
do
what?
it.
You know what's been in my craw? These guys need to be promoted.
Right.
So let's promote good people into the right spots. So bam, he does that pretty quick. But Mead. So you want to go to the next one?
Next one, please.
We're going to have to go negative.
All right. Well,
gotta
that's
go back
okay
to
as
the
long as we
negative.
go back and forth.
This one I had on my list, but Brian Jackson, Patreon patron member.
So he asked this question.
He asked this. He puts this one forth as well.
All right,
almost
so-
the exact words.
Right.
That I
So
would put.
great minds thinking alike
like-
here. So we're obviously not going to hear the question in the end because we're going to answer it now. So go ahead.
11th Corps deployment, July 1st.
Right.
Francis Channing Barlow.
This is things that make you go, ugh.
Barlow. Oh,
Barlow. Channing. Channing.
Where else is he supposed to go? I mean, where is he supposed to go?
Well, okay. I mean,
Silver Spoon Boy.
I didn't see this, but I'm going to guess it has. Well, if they did Sickles, is it a Sickles Barlow thing?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with him on this one.
Is this, and this has such history to it because the history of that whole 11th Corps scenario
Yeah.
is just the bad luck guys.
Right.
And, Chancellorsville, I think they're really done in by their Corps commander, Oliver O'Howard, in a state of readiness.
Right.
Even though there's many warnings of that flank movement to Howard, he doesn't in any way listen to any of it or put them in a state of readiness to the possibility. And then you get road appled. And it doesn't.
Road apple?
Yeah, I mean, you're a road apple. You just get run over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've never
I'm
heard
sorry.
that before.
Yeah.
Road
I'm sorry.
appled.
Yeah.
So like an apple laying in the road, you
No,
run
it's
it
just
over and it's
washed.
squished.
That's
Yeah.
not what a road apple is.
What is it, like a horse turd?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. As long as we've got
I thought it was a horse
for our
turd.
readers. All right.
All right, I'm sorry.
Readers? No.
Well, listeners,
that a
whatever.
good-
Well,
we need to
Listeners, readers, whatever you want to say.
So you get run over.
Yeah.
Blame the Germans.
By
Dutch.
Oh,
blame the Dutch.
right.
You know,
The Dutch.
blame the
Yeah.
Dutch. And then fast forward to here and
To where?
to Gettysburg.
Uh-huh.
So you go from Chancellorsville, that
Right.
whole bad situation, poor leadership,
Yeah.
to another very bad situation. But you're supposed to, really when you look at the 11th Corps would have normally extended the 1st Corps line up Seminary Ridge, Oak Ridge,
Right.
northeastwardly
Yes.
in a contiguous straight line.
Right.
It was to connect to the to the right of the 1st Corps
Yep.
and extend it to take and occupy that hill and that ridge in a westerly defensive posture.
Yes.
Right. But by the time they're getting there,
Things have
your
changed.
roads, you got the hill we're supposed to do. So now what do? You have to connect to the right of the 1st Corps and draw a defensive line eastwardly
Right.
to defend the threat coming from the north
Right.
across, those additional roads. So you got the Carlisle Road, Harrisburg Road. And you don't have a lot of troops. The 11th Corps is not a big corps.
Right.
Okay.
No, they're not.
And a third is left behind.
And he holds one of the small divisions, Steinwehr, because Howard recognizes the strength of Cemetery Hill. Very smart. We could throw up. Oh, we could get the positive in.
Now I know why Mayor from Civil War Breakfast Club is an O.O. Howard fan, because he was smart enough to leave reserves on Cemetery Hill. Maybe that's not the reason why, but just wanted to say hi to Mayor. Hi, Mayor.
Yeah. Hi, Mayor. This looks like a good position, Staff Officer General. This is the only position, right? So that's the recognition of that. But you deploy, Barlow's deployed, and he is to be the right flank of the 11th Corps.
Yes. Channing.
When you don't have many troops, he pulls a Sickles.
Yeah.
He sees that bump in the land out there on Blotcher's Knoll. You've got Rock Creek just beyond it, and he gets enamored with this thing.
What does he think?
Throws this big bump, fishhook looking thing into the Union defensive position.
What is he
doing?
What does he think of that? Rock Creek is the Colorado River or something like that? Like, it's Rock Creek. You can walk across it with no problem. I mean, come on. It's not some, medieval moat or something like that with alligators in it and punji sticks.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare it to the artillery platform that our beloved Major General Dan Sickles is looking at.
Yes.
That's significant. Blotcher's Knoll is not. I mean,
I think in a way he's kind of right. If they got their artillery up there, it commands that entire plain. And they can fire in every direction and mess up the day for Howard's men. So I understand his thinking. Problem is, move your division out there. Send word back to Howard. I need more troops out here to deprive the enemy of the, and then if Howard's like, no, come back, then you go back. But does he do that?
Where else are you going to anchor your troops, though? There's no anchor on that.
No.
Rock Creek.
Oh, again, no punji sticks.
But if you go,
right?
I haven't done a study looking at like Google Earth, but if you go straight line from where he's deploying, where that would have been college athletic fields, straight east to Rock Creek, and you want to use Rock Creek as your right flank.
Okay.
You want to put a physical, natural barrier there.
Right.
Okay, you could. I would have to look at that and see. Wouldn't you have been better off if you would have just deployed in a straight line across there?
I would think it would be easier to hold.
Mixing artillery and infantry.
Yeah, I mean, and let the Confederates march towards you across that open
the flat
plain.
field.
Yeah, and tear them up.
I mean, what do we say? It's an even playing field. Right? If you want to fight.
Well, except for that artillery platform behind the Confederates if they were to do that.
Our guns can blow you off the top of that.
Well, that's true.
When you take a position like that and
you're a good target.
The defense of Cemetery Hill is why Lee didn't use converging fire, because if somebody picks a salient like that, while it's strong, its weakness is converging fire from all directions.
Right.
So go ahead and take your hill, and we'll blast you from every direction as well up on that knoll. So, but here's the thing, and Brian Jackson, put this in there too. Why does Barlow get a pass and Sickles gets scorched? Here's my answer to it.
Go ahead.
One, the past history. They already got a bad name.
Who?
The 11th Corps.
Right.
Yeah. Barlow's in command, not of his own desire. He wanted promoted. He's an ambitious guy, but the 11th Corps is not what he wanted.
Not a fan of the Germans.
He's hating it the whole time.
Right.
He's writing hate letters back home to Mom.
Mom, I hate you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these Germans are terrible. He wants a second Corps. He wants a second Corps job.
Yeah.
He is pushing the envelope, arresting everybody he can. He is being confrontational, argumentative. He is Mr. Negative the whole time. Okay? He doesn't want to be in that. Then he makes the decision that gets smashed. And what's he do? The enemy had barely engaged us and our men ran. He throws them under the bus immediately. That's his words. Is they had barely engaged and my men turned and ran.
So are you saying then that he gets the pass because he threw the Germans under the bus?
Sure, and it's in alignment with their past.
Sure.
Rap.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Easy.
Even though he ordered they go up there, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They're the Dutch.
They couldn't.
They've done this before.
Had it been non-Dutch troops, they would have held up there against the overwhelming force that came at them.
I'm not saying that's not my point. My point is
his implication.
His implication is, no, that was a powerful position.
Yeah.
These guys can't fight.
Yeah. Okay.
They're terrible.
All right.
I've been telling you, they're terrible, and it's the perception that already exists, and he just builds on top of it. He throws them under the bus. And so what's the predominant storyline that then prevails for several decades? 11th Corps is terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're the cowards, the damn Dutch, the Flying Dutchman, right? And it's not until
Deutsche Bank.
And thank God we
I just had to add something.
We've got scholars today, like James Pula. Did I say that right? You had him on the show not too long. I was watching it, right?
No, did I?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Didn't I?
Not my show. No, my show.
Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was Adams County. Maybe
I believe so. I'm not familiar with that person's name.
I love your pronunciation, though.
Is it Pula? P-U-L-A. He wrote Under the Crescent Moon, Volume 1, Volume 2. Awesome.
Yeah, okay.
He's a huge 11th Corps apologist.
See, I'm sorry. Let me just say something. I know names of books. I can't keep track of authors' names. Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry. So I just know the books. I don't have it here. I have it at home.
I'm looking at the bookshelf here.
No, it's at home.
So Under the Crescent Moon. Awesome books. That's an 11th Corps apologist defending them. You've got licensed battlefield guide Stu Dempsey.
Sure. We had him
He's got a crescent moon tattoo.
Right.
I mean, 11th Corps apologist. More and more scholars are looking at the facts of this, the casualty numbers, the Confederate accounts of that engagement on Blotcher's Knoll. Notice I'm referring to it as Blotcher's Knoll, right. not the other name.
Channing's. Barlow's Knoll.
The numbers don't play the story out. But it was an easy thing to do. It was an easy blame. You know,
this is the thing that makes me go
to the stigma.
This is the thing that makes me go about life in general. Is you take Gettysburg and the Civil War as a whole, and there's what we've all grown up believing, and we just we're fed it and we swallowed it without tasting. Right? We just swallowed it like a pill,
hook and all,
and accepted it. But then you get these historians that come out and go, well, let's look at the evidence, right? Not let's listen to what they said at the time. Because look at, and anyone at any point in time, 100 years from now, when they're listening to this episode, I want you to think about this. They're not going to be listening to this episode 100 years from now. But anyway, my point is, if they were, you hear this episode and think of this, okay? Everything that you're going through today in your country, in your society, with politically and everything like that, just as we are today, is complicated. It behooves you to lie about other people and blame other people because it gets the blame off of you. It gets the attention off of you. Look what he's doing, and then meanwhile you do that. You're actually doing it, right?
Right.
It's as old as the day is long. It will never go away.
Right.
And so a lot of the Civil War information that we have just swallowed hook, line, and sinker is probably filled with a lot of that stuff. And then you get these people that go, well, let's see if the numbers, as you say, meet this out, right?
Yeah.
And then we find, well, you know what? I don't think that's really true. And look at the accounts of the Confederates, and look at the. Yeah. It's not like the Confederate. They saw one Confederate battle flag coming out of Rock Creek, and they all go, "Oh God, guys, run and Z!" Like run and hide and Z in the bushes and Z, and that's not what they did. No, they put up a fight. They have the casualties to prove it. What?
Yeah.
And I love the accent. Well, look, if we're going to talk the 11th Corps. Just like Pickett said about his repulse, the Union Army had something to do with it.
They had something to do.
Right? When you look at the 11th Corps out there on the knoll, probably Gordon had something to do with it.
Oh,
when he
yeah,
crashed.
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I think militarily, in the time that he had, I'm an 11th Corps apologist. When did that happen? in the time that Barlow had to place his troops and to anchor his flank, as I think he did the best that he could with the time that he had, but I would have blamed the Germans too. If I was there,
I mean, you got a perfect scapegoat.
We all would have.
Yeah.
That's the point. That was the prejudice of the day, was to blame the new guy. As any day.
If you're the decision maker and it goes bad, oftentimes that's human nature. Is who can I blame?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did it go so bad? And you're attacked from two sides, Doles and Gordon. You get crushed, and it's the people you've been hating since you got the job.
Yes.
And he's ambitious. He does not want to look bad.
Good point.
Okay, because he wants upward mobility. Okay, Brigadier General is not good enough.
Right.
And what's he do? He goes on to further promotions. You've got all the pictures of him, Overland Campaign, and he's, Barlow.
He's dancing? Doing the twist?
Barlow,
Too bad we don't have video of this show. Jason was doing the twist there.
He's got his pretty little flannel shirt on.
Checkered shirt.
Leaning up against the tree.
That's exactly what I was
I'm a big fan of his, yeah.
All right. So then, that's a fair. I think that's a fair argument there.
yeah.
It's because of all that. Okay, very good.
He shouldn't get a pass.
No, he shouldn't get a pass. All right, what's next?
I did.
All right. So we're going to go from one salient to the other.
All right.
But it's a positive.
Furrowed brow.
Sickles, and we're going to make it a positive.
No.
Oh, that he was removed from the field. Yes, that is a positive.
Mead does not remove him from command.
No.
And put somebody else in his place in what I'm sure is a high anger mode for George Mead when he finds out that Sickles has, deployed to the forward position.
Right.
Yeah.
This would not be the first or last time that a major general was removed from command in the field. I mean, think about the way Sheridan deals Gouverneur Warren.
Yes.
Five Forks,
yes,
right?
Yes.
You're out of here. And Meade already has that card. He's already allowed to do whatever. Remember?
True that, yeah.
And now this guy he's made the move. Meade doesn't do that. What's he do? He reinforces him.
Yes.
He not only leaves him in command of the 3rd Corps, but basically gives him complete run of George Meade's very own corps, the 5th Corps, and says they'll report to you. And you can pull from the artillery reserve. Have at it. You think about this surprise moment for George Meade that Dan Sickles is in a position that you would not have imagined. I'm always on open-minded about this. I always think that whole situation is as much on George Meade as it was on Dan Sickles.
Yeah.
Because Dan Sickles tried to communicate numerous couriers wanting a one-on-one George Meade, come down here and look at this.
I will give Sickles that.
Okay,
yes.
He tried.
He did.
Okay, he's trying.
Many times.
And he is doing what he believes is in the best interest of the Army of the Potomac. He is.
Completely agree with you. Where I lose my sympathies for Sickles is when he takes the law into his own hands and does it,
and just does it. Yeah, I agree. And there's no coordination when you do that.
No.
But the reaction of Meade to that, to not can him right there and then, and he's a close confidant with Andrew A. Humphreys, division commander right there, 3rd Corps.
Wait, who's he that you're talking about?
Meade.
Sickles
I'm sorry,
or
Meade.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, because who's going to be his chief
Humphreys.
of staff? Andrew A. Humphreys becomes George Meade's chief of staff when he cans Butterfield eventually.
Yeah.
It's A. Humphreys.
Okay.
He trusts that guy. He could have just
Made
you're
him,
out of here.
yeah.
Humphreys, you're in charge of the 3rd Corps. This is what I want to do. I got rid of this guy for good cause. he's out of here. No, he doesn't do that. He reinforces Sickles. He gives him control of the Fifth Corps, and he gives him artillery reserve. It's just
But when Meade confronts Sickles about it, the Confederate artillery opens. It's too late. He can't, it's like, okay, I could remove him and then go find Humphreys and then put him in command. All right, look, this is what it is. They're opening fire. I'll send you whatever help I can. Right. I think Meade is showing that he's the mature adult in this situation.
Right.
He's pissed. Maybe he doesn't like what Sickles did. He would love for him to be able to go back, but then boom, 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 and then he's they're not going to let you. I'll send help.
Yeah,
he's. That's what he's the daddy. He's the mature daddy, and he's. If I say daddy one more time, I don't know.
I
don't know
what
I'm gonna worry about myself. Is what I'm gonna do.
I think Meade's playing not to lose. I don't think he doesn't have an offensive plan per se. I think he's doing the things that he has to do to mitigate the risk that he already has on the battlefield. I do think, we lose battlefield commanders all the time, corps commanders all the time, but it sets off the whole chain of secession. If he removes Sickles, like Matt said, while the guns are booming and while that attack on the Peach Orchard is coming, I think he just weighed his wrists and kept him in there.
That would be a hot-headed move for him to do, and hotheads often ruin things for everybody else.
But he supports the position. He reinforces it with the Fifth Corps.
Got to.
He gives that command and control to Dan Sickles.
Yeah.
Fifth Corps is
that
to
makes
report
sense, though.
It does, because it's your deployment, but it shows me the maturity in that high passion moment to stick with that and say, hey, you're a commander, you're a corps commander, you're seasoned. I'm going to have the Fifth Corps report to you. Yeah. You can deploy them where they ought to go, because I've only been up, here to the Peach Orchard. You can make these decisions. It's just one of those.
Do we know much about Sickles as he's in command of that whole position there with the other corps and everything? Like, do we know much about the orders that he was sending and to whom and everything? Or is that kind of, it's just like, Sickles moved his men out, the fighting started. Next thing you know, Sickles loses his leg and he's being carried off the field.
I think his headquarters staff is involved in the positioning and the decision-making of the artillery reserve line that gets established in the gap between the Peach Orchard and, Trosel Woods. To fill that gap. There's communications with Fifth Corps units to reinforce the area of the wheat field, because they some of that activity is what intercepts Barnes's brigade, Vincent,
right?
Goes to Little Round.
Barnes, okay, gotcha.
General Barnes had the division,
and
that was 3rd Brigade, is Strong Vincent. Their orders were to proceed to the Emmitsburg Road, and they are then turned around to go back somewhere around the Weichert farm there, to go back and take position on Little Round Top due to what Gouverneur Warren has seen, sending out the messengers. But they were going through the chain of command there. When Gouverneur Warren sent the messenger off to find troops, he's using chain of command. He went to 3rd Corps headquarters to find who could be available here. They send him to Barnes. Barnes can't be found. He's in search of Barnes. Vincent says, who are you looking for? Your division commander. What do you need? I don't know where Barnes is at. And I'm looking for troops to go to this hill. I'll go.
So that's interesting. I didn't realize that he went to Sickles headquarters first. I thought it was go find General Barnes, tell him I need some troops, and Barnes is coming up down in the valley there, and so the kid just ran down to the column, and I didn't realize that he went to. I
think there's a go there because Warren doesn't even know who you would contact. Like what divisions of the Fifth Corps are on the move? Who would be the most available? Sure. How would you find that out? Go over to Third Corps because they know who's coming. They know who's coming and where they're sending people, and so get there first, and then it's First Division's on the field. Get Barnes to deploy some men up there because Barnes has reported in. And so that then we're in search of where's General Barnes. Can't find him. Seems to be the thought of the rest of that day. But then you intercept Vince.
Okay, yeah. I never thought of it that way. You kind of opened my eyes.
Yeah, it wasn't just hey, who are those guys right down here on the road? Just go get those guys. Right? No, I think there's chain of command.
There was a chain of command.
There's chain of command.
Yeah. All right. So what's the next? Is this a pause or a neg?
We're going to go negative.
Oh.
We're mixing them up. We're going to go July 2nd. We're going to stay with July 2nd. Evening. George Meade. We can't give him all positives.
No.
We got to get George Meade a negative. We're going to pull the 12th Corps off Culpsville. All of it.
All of it.
All of it. Like, are you threatened in your front? No. I need you over here.
Right. All of you.
All of it. Pull the whole Corps off.
Every last regiment.
And how many over on Culpsville are going, really? All of us?
Right.
We're going to all leave. That's a
That always struck me as odd.
The whole Corps. That strikes me as odd.
I just said that.
Like that. Yeah, right? Crazy.
Don't steal my phraseology.
Right. You realize the gap
Phrases
that creates in a army's line?
But here's the other thing, though.
That's insane.
He's got to protect the Baltimore Pike, right? He knows this. It's his supply line. It's everything. That hill commands it.
Does he not have a map that shows the cool fishhook shape?
No, he probably didn't have a fishhook map.
Does he not have that? Does he see that the Tawnytown Road to the Baltimore Pike? And that this whole... You're just lopping the whole hook off if you take the 12th.
And what good is a fishhook without the hook?
And...
What are you going to catch, Bill, whatever your name is?
Here's the compelling part to me is...
You can call me Daddy.
I can tell you, who's your daddy?
Oh, come on.
It's
gross.
Ew.
It would be one thing if George Meade had no idea of the position and strength of Robert E. Lee's army.
Right.
But where was George Meade the entire time that Dan Sickles has been sending messengers asking to look at this scenario down here on the left flank? George Meade is completely focused on what he believes will be attack on his front or right.
So front meaning the center?
The front of Cemetery Hill.
Oh, okay.
So from town.
Yep.
That is the front of the battlefield.
Okay, got it.
Because based on where we were the previous day, this is the front is the north edge of Cemetery Hill. And he's focused on all this artillery fire and assessing what he believes will be the main attack on this front, the East Cemetery Hill, Culpsville side of this thing. That's his focus. That's why Sickles can't get his attention. Is Meade is like laser focused on what's going on over here. This is his main battlefront. And then we develop this whole fighting, this whole situation starting at 4:00. And we get to the point we're going to pull the 12th Corps off of Culp's Hill.
I don't, and so people out there in the audience that might be a little confused here, they might be saying, "Well, what do you mean the whole Corps? He left Green's brigade."
That wasn't the original order.
Your point.
That's correct.
That's your point.
That ends up playing out when people at the front line are saying, "Wait," over on Culp's Hill, they're going, really? Should we not leave some people here?
Yeah.
Who would have been the last to pull out of the 12th Corps line? George Sears Green's brigade. So they were leaving the lines. Folks at home, order of march is you're going to leave those lines in an orderly fashion based on your military organization, regiment, brigade, division, heading out the Abraham Spangler farm lane out to the Baltimore Pike. And who's going to be the last to be pulled out of that line would be George Sears Green. Right. And this questioning,
and that's because he's up on the summit. That's his left is on the summit. Of the hill, and where they're going is, what would you say, like southwest of that position. And so they're just going in the order that they are closest to their departure point.
Right. Okay. So you're not stepping over each other. It's an orderly organization of march. And the lane, for those of you who have been there, the lane for that exit is really in that, we call it the saddle, Upper Culp's Hill, Lower Culp's Hill. Some people call that Spangler. Spangler Hill. Mm-hmm. Spangler Hill, because it's owned by Abraham Spangler. That farm lane goes right, what would be westward, right?
Yeah.
Out to the Baltimore Pike.
To the Pike. Yeah.
And that's the road, the farm lane that troops used in and out of the Culp's Hill area. Right. It's just not preserved and part of the battlefield.
Right.
Otherwise, that would be probably the ingress and egress to Culp's Hill.
You can find it, though. I mean, if you, what is it, between the 5th Ohio and 147th PA?
Something
what's
like
the one?
that.
What's the Star Monument over there?
Yeah.
And so if you go, let's put it like this.
Yeah.
If you go into Party Field, what is that? Williams Avenue, Serena Williams Avenue, or Wendy Williams?
Yeah.
It's Williams Avenue. So when you get to that fork by Spangler Spring, you make a left, okay? You take that road. It goes through Pardee Field. Just about when it's going to bend to the right to take you back up to the saddle between Upper and Lower Culp's Hill, to your left, there is the 5th Ohio Monument, and there's a monument that's in the shape of a star. And in between there, up on the hill, there's kind of a clearing in the trees, and that clearing is where that lane was. And you can go walk up there, and you can kind of, if you use your imagination, you strip away the vegetation, you can go, oh yeah, I can see how there was a lane here, and it went straight out, or I don't know if it went straight, but it went out to the Baltimore Pike.
Yeah.
Joe.
So let's say Meade loses Culp's Hill. Okay, let me take to the other flank. We're not defending Big Round Top because it's a bad artillery platform. It's a bad place to jump off for attack. It's a terrible anchor. You know, is Meade thinking that the other flank, where Culp's Hill is kind of the same thing, that his flank anchor is Little Round Top, and he doesn't really need.
That's called a flanker.
A flanker, and he doesn't need Culp's Hill. I mean, wouldn't the deeds of pulling the 12th Corps off of there say that he just doesn't care about Culp's Hill because he has Little Round Top? I mean, you can't drag a cannon up there, right? You can't drag a cannon up to the top of Culp's Hill and shoot down the line.
But the loss of Culp's Hill makes Cemetery Hill untenable.
Yeah.
All right.
You've got the Baltimore Pike at that point, and you could.
And also, the trees that are there today, I don't know if they were all there then. Like, if you got artillery up on Culp's Hill or Stevens Knoll,
all right,
you would be able to fire up onto East Cemetery Hill, and you can and again, all those buildings on like the Pike and the museum and all those things that are there now, I don't think they weren't there. I don't think they would have been an obstruction, and I don't know if all those woods that are here today were there then. And so you might have had a much more clearer field of fire and view from that hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Hancock identifies that on the afternoon of the 1st. So during the withdrawal of the 1st and the 11th Corps to Cemetery Hill, it's Hancock that's credited with the whole, in the context of he and Howard, you know, that struggle for who's got an overall command, and Hancock, you know, has Meade's orders in his pocket. But Hancock says we've got to occupy and fortify this hill to the right because it is the key to this hill.
Yeah.
It is. Hancock recognized right away, you can't just fortify Cemetery Hill if you don't fortify Culp's, because possession of that hill would make this hill worthless.
So I'm looking here in the Gottfried map book, and according to the maps in here, the woods, if you look, like the road, I guess, is going up here, the current road today that goes up to the top, right?
Yeah, the Park Road.
The Park Road.
They should have taken that.
Yeah, no.
They should use that.
Would have made it a lot easier.
There's a blacktop road right there.
But anyway, it's going up here, and if you look, this whole area is denuded of trees. There's no woods here,
Right.
but there are trees there today.
Right. Yes, true.
In fact, my friend's father owns that farm, I believe, and there's the whole backyard is just woods.
Yes.
But they weren't there, according to this map. Now, continue talking, and I will look in the Leno book and see if that agrees.
Yeah, and so it's just but it's such a deep that the decision was made to leave George Sears Grange there. And then he spreads out his 1,700 men approximately to where there is approximately 6 feet between them to stretch all the way into that saddle where there's a traverse that they built. Not only did they built the earthworks, the breastworks, but they had built a traverse there. So every now and then you build a traverse to encase.
What is it for those who don't know? A traverse.
So imagine a wall, the breastworks, and then draw
define breastworks too.
Breastworks are a pile of stone and log built above the terrain of the ground
that go about breast high. Right?
About breast high, if you're on your knees.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you get on your knees. So it's not that high standing, but on a soldier's knees, it's going to be above your breast, and they would put a headlog on it. But a traverse then is a perpendicular to that, a 90-degree into your own line. It's kind of like a break, so that if that line should fail anywhere along it, you can draw a defensive position at a 90-degree angle. And you've got a defensive protection there. Is every so often you throw a traverse in there, just in case. And that eliminates any enfilade fire coming down the line, too, that would stop that. And when you get into the 1864 campaigns and the Siege of Petersburg, you see these traverses in all of those earthworks. And there it's actually trench warfare. But you throw a traverse in there. And that was thrown in there. That's why Greene wants to extend that far down. Is that's a physical encumbrance that if I can defend to that point, and it makes it defensible, that's why Greene is stretched all the way down into that saddle. And that is a more defensible portion, as we see later then. They hold the upper Culp's Hill, the lower just falls into Confederate hands. Thankfully for the Union Army, it's dark enough that they don't realize what they have. What'd you find is a tree cover in there?
Yeah, it essentially matches, not down to the last tree, but basically, so that's wide open.
But this whole scenario is the difference between pulling all of the 12th Corps off of Culp's Hill and leaving one brigade. That one brigade would not have been able to do anything close to what they did to defend that if they didn't have the breastworks.
Oh,
that
sure.
Had already been built. Yeah. I mean, if it was just just the hill itself, it's not going to happen. They're going to get run over.
People like numbers. People that aren't familiar with what you're talking about, they want to know the numbers. How many in the brigade?
It's
1,400?
No, it's actually about 1,700.
1,700?
In Greene's brigade.
All right. And then how many are coming at them?
If I recall, somewhere around 3,500. It's over double.
So, right.
It's over double.
It's, you better believe that those breastworks made a difference.
Yeah, it's what, 3-to-1 odds? I think that was the West Point standard. Well, no, the West Point standard was if you had 3-to-1 odds, you can take breastworks. So...
Right. Oh, okay.
Yes, you've got the attacking force has to be three times the defenders for an entrenched position.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why Lee thought he could take
Cemetery Ridge.
Ridge, right. Okay, gotcha.
Because he had the numbers. And Greene had the numbers.
Yeah, and so all right, so that is that's the other that's one of your things making in the negative sense.
In the negative,
this is a negative.
Is George Meade pulling the 12th Corps off of Culp's Hill when he was so focused on it in the morning?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That always struck me as odd.
Yeah.
And then people had to say to him, "Wait, you sure?"
Yeah,
Like,
really?
You want to think this through here? Like, we can't spare anybody? Like, come on.
Yeah, and the fact that it really doesn't create a pivotal change in the outcome on the Union left. You take an entire division and you march them down to Baltimore Pike and you never make your turn. And they never make it back to the battlefield anyway until it's well after dark.
Yeah.
Their GPS gave in, whatever. They didn't make that turn on Blacksmith Sharp Road. And so only a portion of them ever truly engage in any kind of meaningful way.
Right.
I think they do recover the one battery, help capture that and repulse, the breakthrough of
Johnson's division? Oh, wait, where are you talking? On
coming through the Peach Orchard.
Sorry.
And you've got Barksdale.
Yeah.
Barksdale's breakthrough coming down through to Plum Run. 12th Corps makes it over there to play a role.
Sorry,
to help.
I didn't
to
follow
help in
you.
the defense of Cemetery Ridge.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't follow you across the field.
And then hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Then you look back and you go, oh, you endangered a key portion of your Army's position, pulling the entire Corps, which didn't actually happen, but that was your order: is pull Slocum, pull your whole 12th Corps out of there. And what did it mean? I get it. He doesn't know that he has enough troops on Cemetery Ridge to deflect this main attack. You've got to address.
Yeah, he's worried about the emergency
first.
Exactly.
First, so
Yes.
you're going to do whatever you got to do,
Right.
and he's got to keep pulling troops from anywhere he can. But that's pretty significant. Yeah.
All right.
What
so
a great
yeah, that is a good These are pretty good ones because they're making us talk and think. All right. So what's the last one, Jason?
The last one, and this comes from a patron, Grant O'Brien.
Okay.
The situation that Abner Doubleday gets.
Abner Doubleday.
Not the founder of the game of baseball.
Oh, boy.
Not the founder.
Oh, boy.
He's removed from command. So Reynolds, First Corps Commander, Major General, is killed in action early on, first shots kind of thing. And Abner Doubleday, due to seniority, Major General, inherits First Corps Command.
Right.
So, we just talked about whether a Corps Commander is killed in action or whether Corps Commander, we talked about whether you should just remove Sickles from command, right? And the ripple effect of that. Well, this is the ripple effect that has to occur. Reynolds is down. He's dead. Abner Doubleday, Major General, is First Corps Commander. He hands over his division. And he's in command the remainder of the day.
Who took his division?
Oh, boy. Let's see. Division. Oh, you got me. Stumped the guy.
Was it Rowley?
It may have been.
Because it was Rowley's brigade was Biddle's brigade, right?
In that movement, yes.
Doesn't Rowley go up and then Biddle takes Rowley's brigade?
I think you got it.
Joey,
time
to Google it.
I got it. I'm on.
Just pull up the order of battle. You'll see.
Pull up the order of battle.
We probably in any of these books we can pull
here, but who wants to take the time to do it?
But you're right.
Is Coddington? No, Coddington's right there. Grab Coddington. Oh no, is that Coddington?
You got it.
Yeah, get it right there. The I have it here.
Lano has a beautiful order of battle in the back of the
All right, go ahead. You keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
But Abner Doubleday takes command of the First Corps, and they do yeoman service. What's wrong?
It's Rowley.
Rowley takes the division. Yeah, second division.
Wait, Joe, you're supposed to say I got the answer.
Oh, I got the answer.
We need video when we're dancing.
What's the answer, Joey?
Rowley.
We got it right.
You got it.
All right.
Matt Calorie got it.
Stump the guide.
Stump the guide, and you're ready to pass the exam. So he does good service, and but he doesn't hold that title. He doesn't hold that command. He's replaced at Gettysburg on July
before the battle's even over.
Right.
He's replaced.
Back to division. Back to your division, and Newton, John Newton, a 6th Corps. Right? Yeah, 6th Corps division commander
Right.
is given the 1st Corps.
Who takes his command or his place?
That
in the 6th Corps?
actually is Wheaton.
Wheaton.
Wheaton takes, I believe, that division.
All right. Will Wheaton.
And I'm surprised I came up with that name. But
Cool Whip. Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
So,
What?
why? What did Abner Doubleday do? Why? What? Why?
Will Wheaton, Cool Whip, why? What?
And I'm done. Thanks, everyone.
I'm out.
I'm sorry. We're. Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
So, Grant O'Brien, writes in, why did Abner Doubleday get such a raw deal?
Right. Why did he get wrong?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
So, the answer I would give is there is a dispatch, and I believe it is Brigadier General John Buford,
Okay.
our hero, our cavalry hero, sends a dispatch back to headquarters. It's either to Pleasanton or to both.
Right.
Somewhere around the time when the 11th Corps is coming into Gettysburg, and I do believe it's coupled with the message that Reynolds is dead.
Okay.
Important news. 1st Corps commander has been killed on the field. And there doesn't seem to be anybody in overall command.
Of the field or of the army?
In overall command on the field.
On the field.
And I do believe this is a John Buford, and I don't believe he meant it as a malicious cut at Doubleday.
Right.
But it should have been Howard, though. I got to look at the numbers.
Well, Howard
The
takes
lineal numbers.
over, but at first Doubleday has to take over because Howard's not there.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right.
So
Yeah.
before Howard shows up.
Right.
Right.
It's
It's in that transition.
All right.
And he's not throwing shade on Howard. Because when Howard comes onto the field, of course, he's the ranking major general.
Yeah.
He has to
Right.
give up command of the 11th Corps and take overall command of the field of battle. But it's not, and Grant O'Brien asked, did Howard throw Doubleday under the bus? My answer is no. I don't believe it was Howard that threw Doubleday under the bus. I believe it's a dispatch of Buford. Unwittingly, he didn't. I don't think he's taken a shot at Doubleday. He's reporting that Reynolds is down, and that there doesn't. It's like I think we've lost some unity of command here. There doesn't seem to be anyone in overall command. That's just his viewpoint at the time. And if you're 2 hours away, George Meade, and you receive this kind of message, and you realize the timing of how you can react to that kind of message, however intentional it was, I think it gives birth to a couple things. I need to get somebody up there, like right away.
Okay.
I think this is what prompts the looking around, and the best guy you trust is Winfield Scott Hancock.
Right.
Come here. Go get General Hancock. I explain to you what it is I'm looking for in terms of ground, the initiative. I want to fight this fight in a defensive posture on good ground.
Right.
You get up to Gettysburg. You take overall command. Why does he put a junior major general? He's I believe, the most junior major general in the Army of the Potomac, and puts in his pocket that you are in overall command. Mm-hmm. Again, he's using that card the Lincoln administration gave him, which was you don't have to follow seniority. You can put whomever you believe is the best person for the job. And he uses that card when he sends Hancock there. Why is he sending Hancock there? I think it's because he's received this message of it seems we're in disarray. But I don't think Meade ever forgot that. And he associated that with Reynolds was dead and things went to pot. And so that has to mean Doubleday's no good. Right?
Okay.
And so he likes his people. I was going to look when I saw this question, and we're thinking about this. Alan Gelso's Gettysburg: The Last Invasion. this is a very good treatment when you want to look at the political landscape of command. Okay. We don't need another full campaign treatment of the Battle of Gettysburg.
Right, no, we're done.
But this is at a completely different viewpoint.
Right.
Alan Gelzo is very, very good at the political landscape and how the Democrats and the Republicans and who commanders were that are Republican and who are commanders that are Democrat and how that plays a role. And I seem to recall that Doubleday would not be in the Meade clique, so to speak. Okay, so he's got this dispatch. He's maybe got some other incentive to not maintain him, but you like John Newton. Let's give him. I'm allowed to, if you're Meade, I'm allowed to promote whomever I want.
It doesn't really matter why.
I don't have to follow the script of seniority.
And I don't have to explain myself.
No.
Right.
I've already got this latitude. John Newton, you're in charge of the First Corps. Abner Doubleday, from my understanding of it, which could be wrong, is so hurt.
Yeah, that's what I was
tarnished by it.
Yeah.
That he resigns.
Yeah. And then he went and invented baseball.
Yeah.
Started the major leagues.
Yeah. And we've got Major League Baseball today.
Well, at the same time, Howard was kind of, looking for his own scapegoat and using Reynolds as his scapegoat of why, I think he was saying that the First Corps broke first. Like that's what he was reporting.
Yeah, I mean, you get that whole who broke first Corps, 11th Corps, and how much of that is the 11th Corps trying to defend themselves against that stigma we talked about earlier.
Right.
Is everybody always blames the 11th Corps. Of your own accounts, when you're retreating through the town of Gettysburg, First Corps, how could we have been in, how's come you were in our way when we got there? Because that's one of the accounts of the 11th Corps is they're fighting through the streets. They've got First Corps artillery and other people crossing their paths.
Huh.
How'd you beat us there? Huh. If we're the ones we should have had a clear path.
That's the things that
we
make you go.
We should have had an express avenue to Cemetery Hill. You shouldn't have been in any encumbrance.
But you broke first, and so there you are.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
that's interesting.
One of the arguments of who breaks first is the accounts of in town is how'd we get so mixed up with one another if we broke so much earlier than you? So anyway, but I digress. But Abner Doubleday, I don't think gets a fair shake, and I really don't think that John Buford intended that as a slight against Doubleday. And one of the things I ran across real quick just looking at this, and it's funny that you touched on pallbearers before.
Oh.
Guess who one of John Buford's pallbearers is?
Abner Doubleday?
It's Abner Doubleday.
Really?
Yes. He's he is an honorary pallbearer when John Buford dies later in 1863 in December.
Interesting.
We're not talking about people who he didn't like.
Right.
I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buford didn't dislike Abner Doubleday.
Right.
He respected Doubleday so much that he is chosen as a pallbearer.
And I don't know, but Buford doesn't seem to be a shade thrower.
No.
Right? Like his other reports are very matter of fact. All the information you need. No bull, no editorializing. Just this is what it is.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain that statement, there doesn't seem to be any overarching command, was sent by Buford. It wouldn't have been sent by Howard. Mm-hmm. He would have been throwing shade at himself. If you are the overarching command. Mm-hmm. But it's when Meade gets that two things happen. He needs to send somebody there with firsthand, this is what I'm looking for kind of guidance. I don't think it's so much that he doesn't trust Howard, but he doesn't have a chance to talk to Howard in this situation.
Right.
But I want to send somebody there that I've briefed personally, and you can be our eyes and ears to help make this decision. It's an opportunity that presented itself. But I don't think George Meade forgot it. I think he just associates negativity with that situation that Reynolds is dead and putting somebody else in that spot.
Right. Okay.
And I think it's just a bad deal. I think it's just circumstantial and a bad deal. And he doesn't start baseball. He has nothing to do. It's not that
Where does that idea come from then?
It's actually on the wall up at the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
So where did they get that?
They explain it on that plaque that Abner Doubleday is not the father of the game of baseball, but he was used by the game of baseball as a famous Civil War general to promote the game in the post-war years.
Interesting.
He became their spokesman, their advertisement as. And he was promoted that way, and there was no foundations to it at all, but he was selected due to his fame as war hero.
Hi, I'm Abner Doubleday. Do you want a game that allows you to drink all day, run around in the sun chasing after a ball, and maybe getting hit in the head with that ball? Well, have I got the game for you. It's called baseball, and all you got to do is have a beer belly.
Yep.
You had me at drink all day.
Thank you.
Something that you can drink all day.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so, and the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
Unfortunately, I don't know more about baseball. I couldn't really elaborate more and make it funnier.
What's funny, I was just, I know what it was. I like to pick up the old park brochures.
Yeah.
And the picture books.
Yeah.
So I was looking through one the other day. It was printed in, I think it was 1950, early 50s.
Oh, that was a good year.
And I'm flipping through the pictures. I love these old pictures.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I'm reading the caption, and it has a Doubleday's statue. And it says Major General Abner Doubleday, the father of the game of baseball.
Oh.
It says it factually right in the Gettysburg brochure.
Yeah.
Because
from the 50s.
that legend that propagated itself that far until people took a step back and said, no, really, like, how did he come up with it when we have accounts of the men in the Civil War playing ball? Mm-hmm. They're playing stickball.
Well, yeah.
There's pictures of them.
So it's not that he taught them?
Did he teach them that?
Yeah.
And everybody starts looking at it, and it's to the point where, there's a plaque speaking to it in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. It's not true.
So, but do we know where baseball came from? I mean, it's probably some, I don't know. It's
an American game, but it picked up,
It has to come from something else.
I'm not sure they can put, a finger on this person thought of.
Yeah, I'm sure not.
Yeah,
maybe Joe's going to Google it.
Google that.
You Google it, Joe. And what we're going to do in the
GTS.
meantime is take a break, and then we're going to come back and take questions, or not questions, but necessarily, but things that make our listeners go, And of course, our listeners are also patrons over at patreon.com/Addressing Gettysburg. It's how you keep this show going on the rigorous schedule that we are on, and it is also how you get to ask questions or submit the things that make you go, when we get to part 3. So we'll be right back.
Hey, summer is here, and Gettysburg's licensed battlefield guides are ready to kick off another full season of specialized battlefield walks on their favorite subjects. First, enjoy an educational stroll at sunset with Tuesday evening walks through history starting on June 6th and going until the end of August. Then tours switch to Sunday afternoons and go to the end of October. The walks cost $35 each, and registration is required in advance. And don't forget, from September 22nd until the 24th, the Association of Licensed Battlefield Guides is proud to present Oak Ridge Attack and Defense. 3 days, 10 licensed battlefield guides, 7 battlefield tours, and much more. For the full schedule and registration, and don't forget you have to register for these, visit GettysburgTourGuides.org, GettysburgTourGuides.org.
For the Historian has a wide variety of titles, new and used, of military books from publishers like Osprey, Gettysburg Publishing, Stackpole, Savas Beatty, UNC Press, and more. I make it a point to go there once a week because I have new bookshelves to fill, and I never know what treasures I'll find, and neither will you. They even have toy soldiers, model kits, games, children's books, and more. So stop by and check them out on your next visit to Gettysburg, or better yet, order right now online at forthehistorian.com and mention that you heard about them on Addressing Gettysburg in the Note to Seller box, and they will refund you your shipping. And if you call 717-685-5207 or stop by the store on your next visit and mention us, you'll get 20% off retail price. That's forthehistorian.com or 717-685-5207.
Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, Gettysburg's premier museum, is housed in the historic Lutheran Seminary building constructed in 1832, a witness to the first day of battle. The museum's 3 floors of exhibits connect visitors to the dilemmas that led to the Civil War, provide a powerful and personal view of the battle's first day, and explore one of the battlefield's largest hospitals. No visit to Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center is complete without a guided tour of the building's famous cupola, where on the eve of battle, officers and civilians saw thousands of Confederate soldiers' campfires burning to the west, and Brigadier General John Buford watched for vital federal reinforcements as fighting erupted on the morning of July 1st. Today, you can stand where Buford stood and discover how this view helped chart the course of the Battle of Gettysburg. Your trip to Gettysburg is not complete without a serious visit to Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, Gettysburg's premier museum. Purchase tickets online at seminaryridgemuseum.org or call 717-339-1300.
To get tickets or a cupola tour, listeners may call or walk in and mention addressing Gettysburg, or by ordering online using the promo code AG1863 for 20% off.
Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center. It began here.
There's a devil to pay.
If you're a lover of history, then go to trhistorical.com. There you'll find apparel, drinkware, decor, and more featuring a wide range of interests from the ancient world to the Cold War. Looking to make an impression with the perfect gift? Well, TR Historical now offers gift cards and a vintage wrapping service for a truly unique presentation. And our listeners will receive 10% off plus free shipping in the U.S. when you use promo code GBERG1863. So go to trhistorical.com, TR Historical, for the love of history.
You've heard us promote various ways that you can help us keep the show going, but one way we haven't pushed too much is our sutlery at addressinggettysburg.com/shop. That's a shame because we have designs over there by talented artists like Ty DeWitt of 1863 Designs and Mike Stretch of the Heritage Depot. So now we're promoting it. Buying shirts, hoodies, mugs, and other items from our sutlery not only helps us keep the lights on, but it also helps guys like Ty and Mike, and it helps spread the word about the show every time you wear an item or you sip from your mug. So head over to addressinggettysburg.com/shop and grab some merch. It's the perfect Christmas gift for the Gettys nerd in your family. That's addressinggettysburg.com/shop.
Hey, Gettysburg business owners. Winter is just around the bend, and you know what that means. No tourists. But just because people aren't coming to you doesn't mean you can't bring your business to them. If you ship, you're still in the game. And if you're a seasonal business, the time to advertise for your next season is in the off season when people are making their plans. So what's an affordable yet highly effective way of reaching those people? Well, it's not radio. It's not TV, and it's certainly not print. Step out of the Jurassic era of advertising and run an ad on Addressing Gettysburg. We just reached 1 million downloads, and we're growing by the tens of thousands every month. Beyond that, our audience is happy to support those who support their favorite podcast. So email sales@addressinggettysburg for more information about advertising on our show. We look forward to helping your business grow. That's sales@addressinggettysburg.com.
You're listening to the Addressing Gettysburg podcast with Matt Callery.
All right, and we are back, and now we're going to get to the questions submitted by our patrons. Well, I say questions, but it could also be suggestions. So let's see what they've got here. Our first one is our good buddy Michael 6 Questions Lentz.
Yes.
And he says, Hugh Judson Kilpatrick may not have been wrong. On July 3rd, after the repulse of the Pickett, Pettigrew, Trimble assault, there was an opportunity by the Union cavalry to disrupt the Confederate flank. The issue was coordination. Kilpatrick was missing Custer and his Michigan Brigade, so he only had Farnsworth. With Wesley Merritt in the Reserve Cavalry Brigade, there was a couple of artillery batteries in the area of South Cavalry Field. There seemed to have been an opportunity to coordinate efforts. Instead, Merritt dismounts his men, and Kilpatrick yeets Farnsworth's brigade at the Texas Brigade, seemingly independent of each other. So that's one of his moments. Any commentary on that?
I don't.
I mean, perhaps if Custer were there, then that would have been
Custer's last stand.
It could have been instead of Farnsworth's last
Exactly.
stand. Is I still I get the concept, but I still don't buy cavalry charging emplaced infantry.
No, that's
it's
crazy.
That's not what you want as a cavalryman.
I agree.
No, I don't. I see it as the negative. You want to do what? Kilpatrick is kill cavalry for a reason.
Right.
This overly ambitious use of cavalry earns him his nickname. This certainly helps, solidify that. But man, it's not like you're hitting the flank of the attacking force. The troops that are there in the bottom, below Big Round Top and Little Round Top, they've been in place since the evening of the
They're
second.
like behind stone
and
walls,
they've got
aren't
stone
they?
walls.
Yeah.
It's just...
It was silly.
Mike, the question of coordination, I agree that there needed to be a whole lot more.
Yeah, Kilpatrick could have probably taken more of an effort to make it work.
Yeah, conceptually, okay, but not with just, cavalry.
Right. I agree. Okay, his second one is the first U.S. E and G on tablet on East Cavalry Field represents that the battery under Randall contained 12-pound Napoleons. Yet by that point in the war, the battery had switched to 3-inch ordnance rifles. Very few Union horse artillery batteries by that point in the war in the East had flying 12s. So why the discrepancy on the monument? This is less a case of and more of me being annoyed.
That it's wrong.
Yeah. That's good, pointing that out. That's good. And number 3, the curious case of Billy Mahone and E.L. Thomas. The easiest tour to take at Gettysburg would be to follow either Mahone or Thomas. Good one, Mike. These were veteran brigades, but not heavily engaged during the battle. They were also under veteran brigade commanders. Why were they not better utilized? What was it? A lack of coordination, lack of communication? It all makes me go,
Yes.
thank
And not
you,
just
Mike.
you. Yes.
Yes,
So
a lot of us.
That whole question of assembling the attacking force for what would become known as, the Pickett's Charge or the Pickett Pettigrew Trimble Assault, Longstreet Assault, whatever you want to call it, is the lack of readiness that Lee himself revealed when riding that part of the ridge in some part of the preparation for that, and making the statement that many of these men ought to be in the rear. That they were still, the walking wounded, and their overall readiness had caught him a bit surprised. Yet there's Mahone and Edward Thomas's brigades more in a state of readiness. That they hadn't been used. And so that this is, shouldn't there have been a little bit more perspective on who you're going to utilize for the assault, and, not reusing the likes of Pettigrew and some of the ones that were more heavily engaged. So right on, Mike.
And even on day 2, and I'm going to use the police academy pronunciation, Mahoney, when they came to him and said,
Mahoney.
Getting to the fight, he said, I'm here to guard the baggage train, right? So where's AP Hill? How could have he affected that? AP Hill could have got him moving.
That's the question of the whole battle. Where is AP Hill?
So again, he was just sat there, I don't know, looking.
It's not well.
No, he's not well.
He's back at the Pitzer farm.
All right, Tom Plefka, he says, one of the questions I had was something that makes my head scratch with the Battle of Gettysburg is how well informed Robert E. Lee was on July 1st when he made his plans for the flank attack on July 2nd. For example, how well informed was he about the combat effectiveness of his troops? The 15th Alabama marched 25 miles on July 2nd and were immediately integrated into the flank attack on Little Round Top and probably not combat effective. It makes me wonder if that is a communication breakdown or just the speed of the battle as to how well informed Robert E. Lee was about the combat effectiveness of his troops. My guess
is it's the latter. It was the speed of battle. It was necessity. It was what I have at hand. You got to go in. And nobody said this was going to be easy. Sorry, you had to march 25 miles. I don't even freaking care. Maybe he doesn't even know. Maybe he knows. But who cares? You got to go.
You know, what leads to their success on so many fields of battle? What gives Stonewall Jackson his acclaim is how hard he marched his troops. You look at the Valley Campaign, over roads, you pop out somewhere else, you march hard and you fight hard.
Yep.
A gun blanket and 90 rounds, right? Or it was some of the statement or whatever. I don't think that it enters into the equation that we need to be very discreet about how we use our guys. Like, let's get them rest. Have they had something to eat? Well, let's postpone the attack.
They go potty?
It's push, 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 push. And on July 2nd, and I think we talked about this in the first episode, Lee is compelled to try to get himself into a position of a 1 versus 1 even up fight before all of the Army of the Potomac can get to this field of battle. And that's the reconnaissance. We talked about it in the first episode about Samuel Johnson's ride and what he knows, and he's compelled to just get into it. Before this Union Army can array its full power, I need to get at it before they bring up all their corps. And so I think that leads to the push of, Law's Brigade marching, and don't stop. And now you got to march to, around to the south end of the field as we know it today and go right into action without water, without steps that would make you more physically able to do that. Right.
I got a question though here, and not to, I'm not trying to embarrass Tom or anything, but is he confused or am I confused? He says here is how well informed Robert E. Lee was on July 1st when he made his plans for the flank attack on July 2nd. Did he formulate the plans on the 1st, or did he wait until he had the reconnaissance so that he could formulate it on the morning of the 2nd?
I could take Tom's perspective is as he's going to bed on the 1st with the mindset of if he is there in the morning, I will attack him. I just have to figure out where. Again, I think it's he's being compelled to try to get a pivotal victory where the odds are in his favor.
Right.
Where Lee believes that I can bring more forces to bear before the whole Army of the Potomac can get up into position. And so that's why I think there's an expediency too. Yeah. We have to do it. We got to, the more time that goes by, Lee believes they have got to be on their way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming. It's just a question of when they'll get here. And so I think you can link in his mindset and what he knows on the 1st, and then when he sends out reconnaissance before daylight on the 2nd, it's all the same compelling factor. They're not all there. Mm-hmm. How many do I know that are there? Well, about 3 corps. There's 7. There's 4 more that are unaccounted for. Move. Let's get going.
Well, when he sent out Johnson, it was to find the flank to attack there.
Right.
I mean, that was the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
So he had that plan formulated.
Right.
I mean, probably before he went to bed on the 1st.
Yeah, I think from, I don't remember where I heard this, but I was always under the impression that from what he could observe on the evening of the 1st, before the sun goes down, the left flank ended just a little north of the Pennsylvania Memorial. And maybe he wanted Johnston to make sure that was still the case, and he sent him out there. And so he probably, did have the idea to attack the left. Yeah. I mean, it seems to be easier than attacking Culp's Hill.
And he's had all the discussion with Lieutenant General Richard Ewell about, taking that hill and asking Rhodes. I think Trimble was involved in some of that discussion. Isn't Trimble the one that said, if you could give me 1 brigade, I'll take that?
I think that was a private conversation, though. I don't think that was in front of Ewell.
It wasn't a movie.
No, it wasn't. No, that was private in the movie.
Yes, he comes in after to give his testimony.
Right. In the movie,
right.
they just have
he interviewed Ewell,
Hill, and Rhodes and Early. Yeah.
And can you attack on your front?
Yeah. Now that's in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a formidable position.
Yeah.
You know, they're deferring that if there's other options, you need to look at the other options because that's a big hill.
The guy who played Ewell was in one of my favorite movies, Lonesome Dove. He played P.I. Parker. All right. The next one, Bob Wanilowitz.
Hi, Bob.
I wonder if I got that right. It's just a theory, Bob says. But is it possible that Sam Johnston and the boys decided to hit last call at the Black Horse Tavern instead of going on reconnaissance? That's a good question, Bob, because the information they gave led to some disastrous results. Joseph Wingate, the fact that A.P. Hill wasn't relieved for a lackluster performance. Also, why Lee didn't push the envelope a little on the second day. They were so close to the line on Cemetery Hill. That's the thing. A.P. Hill, this is the thing that makes me go, just A.P. Hill. I don't even need to name anything in specific. Just A.P. Hill. Where was he? What the hell was he doing? I mean, okay, maybe he's sick, but he can't coordinate things from his sick bed. He can't, get permission from Lee to put somebody else in command because he's too sick. Like, what's the deal with Hill?
Yeah.
Why don't we know this? What the dilly?
It's all been pointed to his health, and he was such a hard hitting and successful division commander.
Yeah.
That there's a high degree of faith in him, and I think he's good when he's healthy, but when he's sick,
but we need him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and Lee doesn't replace him. What's Lee do is he gives command of his troops to Longstreet. On day 2 and day 3, who's overarching of those forces? Longstreet.
And then the part about Lee not pushing the envelope a little on the second day, they were so close to the line of Cemetery Hill. I mean, that to me, that's a neat, obvious answer. Why? Because they didn't have enough troops to exploit their advantages that they gained. They had no reserves to throw in. And so they took heavy casualties. The ones that were still standing were exhausted. And who knows what the hell the Unions got coming up behind, because they were able to flood reinforcements into the south end of the field for that whole fight. So they've, it's not that easy.
Draw 2 upside down fish hooks, one inside the other. It's interior lines and exterior lines. Mm-hmm. And you have a larger body force on the interior and a smaller force on the exterior. And you look at the attacks of July 2nd and July 3rd, and they come so close to the point of add another couple brigades in at some key moments of, the attack on East Cemetery Hill on the night of July 2nd. Mm-hmm. If you reinforce Hayes and Avery, thank you.
Yeah.
Think of what 2 more brigades would do when you're in hand-to-hand combat on top of Cemetery Hill.
Exactly.
It's just that lack of a little bit more power, to your point, Matt, is they're on the exterior lines and they're spread out, and you just need a little wee bit more punch, and you could have changed the game.
His army's fine when they're on the interior lines. But he's stretched thin. He doesn't have enough men. All right, I'm going to try a couple of pronunciations of this last name here. The first name is Joe. That's easy. It's either Polignano or Polignano.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 guesses. Joe, which did I get right? The things that make him go, are... You never hear about the circumstances surrounding Newton taking command of the First Corps. Well, we talked about that before, didn't we? Mm-hmm. So you never heard about it until now.
Wow.
Another one he has is having not witnessed the first day's fight, whose account informed this decision? Talking about Newton and Doubleday, I assume. I.e., did Howard throw him under the bus? Well, we talked about that, When did this happen? While Meade was on the road or after he got to town the night of the 1st?
Now that's a good question.
Do you know?
Does he talk to others about a decision that he's going to have to make in terms of the First Corps? That's an interesting point, Joe. Does he talk to Howard?
Yes.
Does he talk to others about the performance of the First Corps? Does any of those conversations weigh into his ultimate decision to put John Newton in charge?
All right, and then finally, was it just a matter of seniority, and Newton was the next man in line for Corps? No.
No, I don't believe so. Doubleday, and the old rules of thumb where you stay in your corps. You promote from within.
Right, yeah.
You don't. Yeah, there's cases where they reached to other corps and moved people around, but Doubleday would have been the guy. I mean, he was the most senior major general in the First Corps. I got to be honest, I'm not sure where Doubleday and Newton. I don't have my little cheat book. The fact book at Gettysburg gives the commission dates of all the major generals, and you can look and see who was senior to who based on the commission date. We'd have to look that up to see if Meade jumped that rank by putting Newton there over Abner Doubleday.
All right. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of this episode of Ask a Gettysburg Guide. Things that make you go, part 2.
Or don't forget. There's also There's some
Well, that is all we have here. I'd like to thank you, Joe, for your contribution as well. Jason, thank you for coming on and doing this again. Ladies, of course, thank you to our patrons for contributing questions and their own things that make them go, I hope you all enjoyed it. I thank you for your support, and thank you our sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you, and we will talk to you next time. All right, that is all.
Are you a reenactor or living historian? Or maybe you're a War of Rights player and want to bring esprit de corps to your team? Well, then you need the Badge Maker, the leading provider of Civil War and other historical badges and insignias. Mention this ad with an attached message in your order and receive a free surprise gift. I myself bought a metal Second Corps badge, and it always starts a conversation when I wear it. So hit up the Badge Maker at CivilWarCorpsBadges.com. Something for everyone and anyone.
Our hearts so stout have got us fame, for soon 'tis known from whence we came. Wherever we go, they dread the name of Garryowen in glory. Instead of spa, we'll drink down ale and pay the reckoning on the nail. No man for debt shall go to jail from Garryowen in glory. Instead of spa, we'll drink down ale and pay the reckoning on the nail. No man for debt shall go to